All right, good evening, everyone. Come on in, gather in, everyone out in the hall. We're going to get started. Welcome this evening. It's 7 o'clock. This is a meeting of the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education. This meeting is a meeting of the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting as indicated on the agenda item. I'm Audra Dorn. I'm the board vice president. You have to deal with the B team tonight. Bear with me. Mr. Carpenter is not here. To begin, could you please call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Carpenter is absent. Mrs. Dorn?
Here.
Mr. Kinsey?
Present.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Mrs. Anderson?
Here. All right. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For everybody in the back, there are plenty of seats up front. Come on up and join us.
There's also extra seats back in that corner there if you need that.
All right, Mr. Lemming, would you present the treasurer's report?
Okay, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th meeting?
So moved.
Mr. Kinsey, Mr. Price. Yeah.
Roll call.
Would you call the roll?
Okay. Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Could I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month ending May 31st?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, discussion?
I just wanted to just note a couple things. At the end of May, 92% of our fiscal year had passed, and we had collected 88% of what we had budgeted for state foundation. We're at that point where we keep bouncing back and forth between the guarantee and the formula, and that's due to our increase in property values. If you don't, it's based on property value per student. So if you don't increase our number of students substantially as property values increase, we get put back on the guarantee, and we're right on that threshold there. So I budgeted for us to be on the guarantee. Instead, we're on the formula, and that gives us lower state funding. So wanted to mention that. But we were doing quite well with salaries and retirement benefits, well below what was budgeted. And let's see, what else? We during the levy campaign, we mentioned quite often that we get 27% of our revenue from the state. This year it's going to be less than that. It's about 24 or so, I think. So.
And what's the reason, as in our budget increased and therefore the percentage went down, or we actually effectively received less money?
It was more of the first one, but we had budgeted the state revenue to increase 2 or 3%. And like I was saying, we bounced back from guarantee to formula, and that was lowered. Because I'm comparing this to what I budgeted this time last year for this year. So without making any changes in that original budget, we're lower than we thought we would be.
So we effectively got less money from the state than they expected.
Yes, that wasn't the sole reason for that percentage being lower. It was also what you mentioned, that we increased the entire budget.
Yeah.
I think it's about all I have. All of the reports are included with your agenda if you have any questions or anything.
Anyone else have comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve a then and now certificate for $25,910 for the college board for the high school advanced placement testing materials? This is something we get every year. It's just that we didn't have a PO in advance. We didn't get that formality done, so we have to pass this according to auditors.
Move to accept.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
And the last one on the hand carry that I've got, there's a 3D at the top of the hand carry. Another thing the auditors require, anytime there's a change to petty cash in the district, the board has to approve that. And so I included, I think it's on the back, in the blue copy that's behind the green copy on the hand carry. Just if you're interested, the amounts of petty cash that each building or department has. The only change is that transportation had a $50 petty cash that they didn't feel like they were using, and they wanted to turn that back in rather than secure that money all the time. So I have to have the board approve that change formality.
Any questions or comments?
So is this what the petty cash starts at and kind of ends at, or did it
Yes.
start at something else and it's ending at this?
Starts and ends at this amount.
Okay, very
So,
good.
and they turn, this time of year, when school's out, all the people in charge of the petty cash, turn them into the treasurer's office, we put it in the safe. And once in a while, there'll be, if you have $100 petty cash, you might have $90, a $10 receipt that we have to go ahead and reverse. So I think it's called an impressed petty cash system.
Anything else? All right, please call the roll.
I don't think we got a motion
Yeah.
We have a
second.
motion.
I'd like to move to accept. that,
Thank
please.
you. Second. Told you it was 15. Okay, any other comments? No, please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
All right, that concludes the treasurer's report. Did anyone receive any correspondence they'd like to share? I personally received a couple of emails regarding school security, but I think they were the same, that I think all of the board members were copied on this, so I don't think I have anything specific to share.
No, same thing. I received at least two. My personal response, just broadly for the community to know, was that as a community, as citizens, we see something, say something. If you look historically at these horrid events that have taken place in our nation over the last 20 years or so, I think it's without exception that there were markers, there were indicators that something wasn't right. And today, often you see that propagated via social media. And our children are far more adept than I am of being aware of that and conveying it. So please, if you see something, say something. Develop good relationships with your children where they let you know if they see something amiss. For those in our community that have firearms, I would highly, highly underscore the importance of securing those, making them as inaccessible as possible. Suicide really is the bigger risk. And so therefore, that's reason enough to, secure them. But certainly, in light of the horrid things that happened here in the last few weeks, we need to make sure that we've done our due diligence, at least as parents, and if you're a firearm owner, to protect our community and our children. I as well sent emails that, to those that I responded to, is that certainly we've had already a keen eye out for security concerns. I'm on the safety committee. It's discussed at every meeting, but I'm also convinced that we need to do more. And so I would expect we're going to do some really intensive reviews on what we have going on here in our school system, how we can make it safer. And I'm open, all of us are open to any inputs we can receive from the community. Infrastructure is a big one, making sure we can quickly lock and secure our doors. Janessa does a phenomenal job seeking grants. And in light of some of the recent legislation that's passed, there are some opportunities there to seek some upgrades for a variety of things, which I won't go into here. But anyhow, those are just my general thoughts. I do my best to convey back to the couple folks that emailed me. This certainly is an intense concern of ours. How can it not be? And so, anyhow, let's work together as a community to be as safe as we possibly can. So those are my general thoughts on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. We're going to move on to the fun stuff. We've got some good news recognition here, and we've got a stack of it over here. Starting off, if basically the whole music department would come up. I've got Mrs. Guard, Mrs. Seiler, Mr. Solomon, Mrs. Wellbaum, anyone else? Mrs. Blankenship. Mrs. Blankenship. You might all have to help me describe what all of the stack is for each of you. But this is from NAMM, which is the National Association of Music Merchandisers, with certificates of outstanding support for music education for Stephen Bell, for VCI, for the middle school and the high school, both, all of you.
Interchangeable. Yeah.
As well as, these are all really high accolades for the Winter Guard, for both the middle school for first and second place at the MEPA championships this year, as well as for the high school indoor percussion ensemble, third place, and WGI World Championships, 21st place Scholastic A, as well as the high school Winter Guard this year, first place, and WGI World Championships, fourth place open class. So this is a stack for all of you. I didn't know you all were all here. Come on up. Someone take a great picture for me. You guys stand. These are, and I will give you,
Mrs. Sigmund can get a picture here in a second.
You're all here.
Okay. Okay, all up here. All of us, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
Great, that's amazing.
We're honored to receive this from the National Association. It's for the whole community. The award is called outstanding. It's for Bellbrook-Sugarcreek schools. We're called an outstanding community for music education. So it's not just the schools. It has a lot to do with these kids. It has to do with the teachers, and it has to do with all the support we get from all of you all too. So thank you. It's a big honor.
We really do have a wonderful music department as well as wonderful science department, which has their own stack of accolades here. So Mr. Eckley, if you would come up and then bring Mrs. St. Pierre, is there anyone else here? Mr. Scooterman. So this is a very fancy resolution from Greene County. Bellbrook Middle School won the governor's Thomas Edison 2021 Award for Excellence in STEM Education, and it is I won't read it all to you, but basically this is from the county citing Bellbrook Middle School as the place to be for STEM education. But then, go ahead. I was gonna say, on top of that, you're gonna need all of you, because this was so awesome, we've got additional letters of congratulation and, just general awesomeness. This particular one is from Representative Brian Lampton and Robert Cupp at the Ohio House. We've got one from Senator Bob Hackett. We've got, they just keep coming. This is from Congressman Mike Turner. Congressman Rob Portman, and Governor Mike DeWine, all piling on to this awesome award. And if you'd like to say some words.
This is kind of just goes along with the tradition that Kathy has started many, many years ago. I think this is our 27th year in a row that we've won the Thomas Edison Award. So we've traditionally been very strong in this area, and it has continued with a new generation of not only St. Pierre's, but also of our teachers, and it's just such a great honor to work with such great professionals.
And as a parent of a child who's gotten to take advantage of all of this awesomeness this year, I truly do appreciate that. So thank you again. I got one. You got it. Good. All right. And is Mrs. Tinscher here? Yes. She is. All right, so Stacy Tinscher, I'm gonna let you hold this, and then I'm gonna read this. So this is from the Ohio Kids Heart Challenge. And Stephen Bell Elementary was the number 3 school in the state in the Kids Heart Challenge, raising over $28,000 for, what does that go towards?
The American Heart Association. And this is our 22nd year at Stephen Bell. It's my 28th year facilitating the event. And I just want to say thank you to the real heroes who are the kids and parents in the community that donated all the money. I just facilitate and plan the event. And Mrs. Brescia, who's retiring this year, is like my right-hand person. So hopefully somebody can help me with that next year. She's always been such a great help, and it was wonderful to have all the volunteers back this year, helping in the gym run the stations as well. So,
Thank you. Awesome.
my pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we're moving on to reports to the board, and tonight we are going to have a special presentation from a group that's very close to my heart. This is something that has personally impacted my family in an amazing way this year, and I'm excited will continue to impact my family as well as so many other families here in the room, probably watching online. I can't say enough good things myself, so I'm going to turn it over to them to share with all of you the good things that are happening in Bellbrook Supportive Peers.
Hi, my name is Tess Rivero, and this is Danny. Can you say hi?
Hi, Danny.
Come here. I'm the program coordinator for Bellbrook Supportive Peers, and I'm also a teacher at Bellbrook High School, a 4th generation graduate of Bellbrook schools, and Danny's mom. We spoke at a board meeting in September, and we were asked to do a follow-up. So today we're going to give you an overview of the first year of the program. Just to kind of recap for those of you that don't know, Supportive Peers is a program that pairs high school juniors and seniors with students from preschool through high school with special needs. And they meet during their study hall period about 4 to 5 times per week, and the lead peer travels to their friend's respective building during the school day. The lead peer acts as a support for their friend in the school setting. They participate in specials, lunch, recess, or whatever happens to be going on at the time that they're there. Additionally, we have about 8 to 10 get-togethers outside of school over the course of the year. The lead peers complete training to understand different disabilities and to learn ways to interact with all types of people. Supportive Peers just finished its first year, and to say that it was a success is an understatement. Today you will hear from lead peers, buddy peers, parents of lead peers, parents of buddy peers, parents of neurotypical students, and teachers, so that you can get a glimpse of the impact that this program has had on hundreds of people in our school and community. If you could go just to the second slide. I sent out a survey to the community and the school at the end of the year, but because I have so many speakers, I'm not going to go through all of the slides with the written comments. So our first speaker tonight is Sam Borsch. He is a 2022 graduate, and he was one of our lead peers this year.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. So this program is very special to me because when I was like 2 or 3, I was diagnosed onto the autism spectrum. And so then that's about when I moved to Bellbrook. So I was in Bellbrook K through 12. And I really wish I would have had like a high schooler. When I was younger, I really looked up to the high schoolers. I was like, that's what I want to be when I be like the high schoolers. So I really wish that I would have had like a peer. Like this is changing these kids' lives because, I mean, you just can't even tell the difference it makes for these kids. So, I mean, it's tough to speak about this sometimes because, I mean, some people just really don't know how it is for the kids that go through this stuff because, I mean, sorry.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Because like a kid on the autism spectrum, it's different for every single kid. But for me, I felt like that I was just like different than everybody. I felt different. I just felt like out of place a lot of the time. And I feel like for the kids now that have the high school peers, it makes them like feel like more involved in the community and that they can just feel involved and they're like with their peers around them. Like I feel like the high schoolers have changed these kids' lives, so I really can hope that we can keep making a difference in these kids' lives, like year in, year out. I feel like people we'll get students to move to this community because of this program that are on special needs. So, I mean, I think that's all I have. So.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm going to read, Sam's mom couldn't be here, so she sent in a paragraph that I'm going to share with you. Inclusion is a word we hear a lot in education and means different things to different people. To me, inclusion is a belief system. It begins with the belief that every child has strengths to build upon, interests to share, and experiences to honor. Inclusion is the opportunity to learn together and from one another. My name is Corinne Borsch, and I have 2 children who have gone through Bellbrook schools, preschool through 12. I'm also a substitute teacher for the district. I wish I could be there in person to truly express how much the Supportive Peers program means to our district. My youngest son, Sam, graduated this year and was a lead peer in the Supportive Peers program. It was a great experience for him, and he learned so much while helping others. He is in a unique situation that he is on the autism spectrum and was on an IEP through 6th grade. So I'm able to see how much this unique program means to the peer and the lead peer and their families. This program isn't like any other extracurricular activity we have in the district. It is a program that is literally changing the lives and educational experience of students in our special education programs. The Supportive Peers program is amazing and brings so much to the students and families it supports. It is truly a game changer. Next, you're going to hear from the parent of one of our peers, Mr. Altman and Melody. Oh, great.
Good evening. So I think we all remember when we were in elementary school, and as Sam intimated, when that cool high schooler comes into the classroom, it doesn't matter if you have the coolest teacher in the world, all of a sudden it's a whole another order of coolness. Add that sublayer of social marginalization that some kids get, and all of a sudden that high schooler is paying attention to your kid. Makes a big difference. There's loads of literature that shows the impact that peers can have, or near peers have certainly on the pedagogical progress that kids make. But there's the non-quantitative bit that you see your kid come home and they got that spring in their step, and it's Daphne. Daphne came to class today, and she spent some time with me, and it's just the coolest thing in the world. It makes a huge difference. Makes a difference in Melody in ways that's just hard to quantify. Did you want to say anything about Daphne?
Daphne is nice, and she is friendly, and that's all.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't think about this when I put the order together, but Daphne's next. I want wanted to group people together that had the same experience, but if you want us to skip and come back, we can. Okay. Daphne and her friend Rachel are going to come up and share their experiences. They're lead peers in the program.
She did that to me on purpose. Sure. Hi, my name's Daphne.
And I'm Rachel.
I just cannot talk about how much this program means to me. I just want to thank Mr. Barrow for giving me the opportunity to be in it. This program is extra special to me because my brother's back there. He has autism, and it's hard for him. He's completely nonverbal, so it's very hard for him to make friends. But his peer, every time Gracie walks in the room, he just lights up and he runs to her, and it's amazing for me to see him have like someone that he can be with. And you met Melody a second ago. She's a firecracker. She's like my built-in best friend. So yeah.
I was paired in a first grade classroom with my peer this year, and I think just the impact it has not only on the student with special needs, but also just the community that's in the classroom is like so amazing to see, because at the beginning of the year, my peer, I could tell he felt really isolated, because when kids are younger, it's kind of hard to understand the differences that they have with each other. And in the beginning, he would usually stick around me and like wouldn't talk to other kids, but just like having another peer there, I think it helped really open up conversation with not only him, but the students around him. And by the end of the year, I would walk into the classroom and he was talking to kids all around him. He had kids wanting to sit with him at lunch or wanting to play games with him at recess. And just the overall energy in the classroom and just the inclusion that I could see was developing over the year, I think was really important, because I think inclusion is something that needs to be taught and learned at a younger age, and this program and having students paired with younger kids really helps people to see that it's okay to be different, and it's just important to include everybody no matter what is happening.
And we can ramble on and on about how this has impacted the community, but I mean, I have a list on my phone that Mr. Barrow sent me of like 20 people that are here to just talk about it, and that's just like a small portion of the big picture. I mean, it's like a domino effect. We start this now, and it's going to affect the whole community, and I think that's so important. Thank you.
The two girls that just spoke are going to be the two student leaders for Supportive Peers next year. They are amazing young ladies. And just kind of a segue into the next talk, all of the kids, we've been blessed that all of the lead peers have been absolutely phenomenal. And while there have been many adults that have contributed to the program, it's what they do on a daily basis that really makes the difference in everyone's lives. And I can't thank you guys enough. Next, you're going to hear from Mr. and Mrs. Gideon. They are the parents of a 2022 graduate who was one of our lead peers, Mallory.
Next.
Scared? Come on.
No, I'm not scared, just don't know.
Hey guys, I'm Topher Gideon. My wife Colleen, our daughter Mallory just graduated. We also have a son who's going to be a junior in college at Ohio Northern, and one that's going to be a junior at Bellbrook High School. So a year ago or so, they were forming a Supportive Peers group, and Mallory interviewed for it, and they had this cluster of kids together, and they kind of paired people up by people that had bonds, and she kind of bonded with this one person, and she was hoping to get assigned to her and did. This person was over at Stephen Bell, and Mallory's at the high school, obviously, so a very busy person, taking AP classes, CCP classes, varsity sports, played 4 varsity sports. She found time to do this, and to do it, she had to drive to Stephen Bell once a week. We have a block class schedule now, so that allowed her that extra time to drive over there, do it, and come back, and never complained, and really enjoyed it. And it was neat to see her come home and talk about her experience and how it went. And as Ms. Rivera said, there was like 8 to 10 out of the classroom activities, and we got to see it firsthand. We went to a football tailgate, and here's this group of kids playing games together. They're playing cornhole and painting faces and doing all sorts of things. We see them at Sugar Maple Festival. We saw them at Christmas activities, Easter activities, outside the classroom activities. So we actually had to witness these things, these connections and great experiences that they had. And then, you know, she's a high school senior. She has to go to college. So that involves writing essays. And if you're familiar with college applications, there's a common app. You have to write an essay. And a lot of her essays involved the Supportive Peers program. The topics are going to be like, you know, describe a volunteer activity or extracurricular activity, how it affected you or how can it benefit the university from what you learned. She won 4 scholarships, and one was definitely directly related to the essay she wrote. Another one said, hey, you got this because you volunteer so much. That's one of the things that really stood out in her application. And when you
That's
really,
how we learned a lot too, how she felt about it and how it really impacted her. She would talk a little bit about it, but not much. But then to read how that progress happened was really touching.
right, so those are good things. It was even touching too. You have a graduation party and her supportive peer came to it too. And that was neat to see. They came to the senior awards ceremony too. That was neat to see. And it's just all good things. So she had a great experience, was able to write about it. It helped her through the college essay process. I'm sure she'd do it again.
And then as the parent of her, and then the student came and her mom approached me and just said, I just want you to know what a difference it's made for Christmas, Mallory. At one of the events, I took a picture of her peer and Mallory, and we just framed it, gave it to her at Christmas. And she said, you have no idea last year, my daughter, this is the peer's mom talking to me, you have no idea last year she had a rough time. She was struggling with life and things. And she said, we have that picture up above her bed. And she said, she wakes up and says, I'm going to see my friend. Look at my friend. I have friends. And she kept talking about this picture. And so to hear how that impacted her was just like, this whole thing came full circle. She was touched by it. And she's, even before she interviewed, she said, I have to do this. I don't know how, but I know it's going to change my life and I have to do it. And that was why she interviewed.
And we're proud of her for doing it and thankful for the teachers in Severo,
Unbelievable.
Mr. Reinhardt, the others. They go above and beyond. And you have to write letters of recommendation for college too. These teachers don't just teach. Letters of recommendation take a long time to write. It takes extra time to do. And as I said, outside class activities, they're organizing these extra things and going to Kings Island and things like that. So
thank you for all you do.
Thank you, teachers.
So this video, hopefully it works, is the family that Mallory worked with.
Let's start. Hi, my name is Bethany Burgess. I have Esme, Easton, and Ari Grimes. I also have Adelina and Eliana. And my children are ages 5, 6, 8, 9, and then I have teenagers. And I found out about the supportive peer program last year, and I signed up Esme and Easton. And it was probably the best decision that I've made. So Easton, who is age 6 now, he has selective mutism, and so it's very difficult for him to talk or make eye contact in the settings that have more than, say, 2 people. So at the beginning of the year, he was not speaking. He couldn't even go somewhere, say, to get a drink. He was very overwhelmed, but having spent time with his supportive peer and all of the activities that they've had throughout the year has really brought him out of his shell. And a few months before school ended, he started talking to his teacher.
My supportive peer's name is Avery, and she helps me with my work at school, and I like her, and she's my girlfriend. My supportive peer's name is Valerie, and she is super kind, and I love hugging her. And she is the best supportive peer. So she played with me at school, and well, she helped me with math questions needed help. I love her. And Mallory is the awesomest friend. Love her. And at her graduation, I gave her a cool makeup gift. I had makeup, and it was super fun. And Mallory was there. She watches me do these cool crafts that the teacher has, and she's my friend and I love her.
My daughter Esme Grimes is 8 and she is in the second, now third grade. And she had a supportive peer this past year, and she was really suffering from anxiety and social anxiety. She had some bullying. She was really struggling, feeling lonely. In kindergarten, she was self-harming. So she's had a rough kind of run. She's sort of her own unique individual, probably somewhere with Asperger's. She's got sensory processing disorder. She had high fevers, and so thinking things through and understanding how to interact with people has been challenging for her over the years. But having her supportive peer has really helped her feel like she belongs, and has helped her feel content with school and with life. And she was always excited to say she saw her special friend. And so just having her feel okay while she was in school and
So next I'm going to read a couple remarks from teachers that couldn't be here but wanted to share their thoughts. The first is from Sue Campbell, middle school IS. Sue says, I had 2 high school supportive peers come to the middle school this past year to work with 2 of my students. Each of the supportive peers came 3 days a week to work with their assigned students. The high school students assigned to the middle school were terrific. They were always on time and engaged my students in whatever activity was going on when they walked into the classroom. In the summer, my students met their peers and played games with them to get to know each other. The summer activities were beneficial and got my students excited to see them during the school year. Also, the peers met the students and their families for activities outside of school on their own time. The parents and I would agree it was a wonderful experience that enhanced the communication and participation of my students in Bellbrook schools. And next I'm reading from Emma Tompkins, who is a high school IS. And Emma Tompkins was the teacher of the class that Sam, who spoke earlier, was assigned to. This past year, we had a supportive peer join our math class. Our supportive peer was especially gifted in math and was a huge support to the students who struggle with the subject. He brought a positive attitude and enthusiasm to a subject that can be incredibly challenging to get through, and he made positive connections with every student in the class. He would jump in to help in any way possible and was quick to help students he saw struggling. Since he has an aptitude for math, he could easily answer questions and help students get back on track, and he patiently would review concepts with students who needed extra support. He cheered students on and made them feel confident about what they were doing. He also made a point to create personal connections with them and made each one feel important and valued. Our supportive peer made math fun while simultaneously helping students to gain confidence. He was a huge asset to the students and brought an energy into the classroom that made math fun, and that made a difference for everyone. I'd also like to add about Sam, he didn't say this, but he was homecoming king this year. Next, you're going to hear from Emily Reno. Emily, come on up here, Emily. Emily was a student in Danny's class this year, and she's just going to read a little bit about her perspective. Her peer, I don't think Emma's here tonight. Danny's peer couldn't make it tonight, but Emily was in Danny's class. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, good evening. My name is Emily Reno. My friend is Danny, and his peer is Emma. She is amazing, and I helps Danny with interactions with classmates, helps with learning. I have learned a lot from Emma and Danny, how to help Danny in difficult situations. He loves hand tickles, and how how to help him calm down, to say I'm here for you. I love supportive peers, and I'm glad they're here to help my friends. Danny is my buddy, and I love spending time with him.
So I think next we'll go to, is Molly, did Molly leave?
She'll be right back.
Okay. That's okay. We'll go, Jill Culler. Jill is a elementary teacher, and she's going to share her viewpoint of the program as well.
Good evening. My name is Jill Culler, and I am both a parent and a teacher in this district. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My experience with the Supportive Peers program began last fall when one of my second grade students was matched with a senior at the high school. This senior spent 90 minutes of their school day with us every single day. That's roughly 260 hours of volunteer time from a 17-year-old during her senior year. The relationship that developed, I got some friends. The relationship that developed between the senior and her second grade peer was nothing short of magical. They read together, they wrote together, they worked on math skills together, they laughed together. There is genuine trust, belonging, happiness, bonding, and engagement in learning. As if that relationship wasn't special enough, the way their love and friendship extended to the entire classroom community was the icing on the cake. The modeling that was exhibited by the high school peer was the catalyst needed for the second grade peers to emulate those same behaviors and supports in the most authentic ways. My paraprofessional and I often joked that we were chopped liver when Miss Lily entered the classroom. By second semester, Miss Lily played second fiddle to her peers. And isn't that the ultimate goal in all of this, is to get them to that point of independence? Still, Miss Lily was always welcome, but the peers became the stars. While we know from previous experiences that peer supports are essential in an inclusive classroom, the layers at which they developed this year in particular are in part to the Supportive Peers program. I would highly recommend looking into ways to continue supporting this group and extending it to include peer-to-peer supports in each building. As you see already, that's happening anyway, so let's just continue that. In addition, I would love to see it blossom to ensure all students in our district feel a sense of belonging by having peer mentors who they can build relationships with and have positive experiences with. I appreciate all the hard work and efforts by Tess Rivero and her team, and would love to see this program extended to include more opportunities for students at every level. In addition, my paraprofessional Kelly Nolan, who is unable to join us this evening, asked me to share her letter, so these are now her words. And then are you going next? Okay. This is Kelly. I had the opportunity to watch the inaugural Supportive Peers program unfold during the 2021-2022 school year. We had the extreme privilege of having Lily Nisley join our second grade family. Lily was a senior and was paired up with Livy. What started out as an extra set of hands in our classroom every afternoon blossomed into something far bigger than any of us envisioned. Lily is such a kind, patient, humble, mature, and motivated young woman. Lily gave Livy and all of us the gift of time and service each day to better our world. She helped guide Livy through her afternoon of Reader's Workshop and would willingly help any student who asked a question of her. She demonstrated to all of us what it means to be a friend to everyone in a very authentic manner. Many students took notice, and we were able to model Lily. Those students were able to model Lily, and in turn, they unknowingly became supportive peers in their own way. These students also witnessed what it means to be a genuine friend to everyone. Tess Rivero is to be commended for her innovative thinking and for voluntarily managing this program. All of the supportive peers were well vetted and well matched to their younger peers. I fully believe this program is essential to moving forward and developing the whole child throughout all the grade levels. We became more than a team this year in helping our students grow. Lily was our missing puzzle piece that we didn't even know we needed. Thank you. You can hold it in front of you. You come stand with Quinn. She sees you walking up together. Hey, do you want to stand to the side so they can hear you? So you're not behind the podium. Quinn. Yeah.
My name is Quinn Rower, and I just finished second grade at Stephen Bell Elementary. I am here to talk about the Supportive Peers program. This year, Miss Lily was the supportive peer in my class for my best friend Libby. Miss Lily helped me with Google Docs and slides. Also, Miss Lily helped show us how to be a friend to Libby by how she acted with Libby. She helped Libby to talk to us. Libby and I started spending more time together, and now we're best friends. I was able to help Libby at physical therapy. I went to Buddy at tennis with her, and she just came to my birthday party. Libby has taught me just be who you are, and I can't wait to dress up for prom together when we are older. My sister and I can't wait to be supportive peers someday and help kids like Libby. I think that is a great program, and I hope you will keep this group going for a long, long time. Thank you for listening to my speech.
So again, with the whole lumping it all together, you ready, Jenny?
So?
This is Libby's mom, Jenny Baggy-Lake.
Well, I was hoping to go before that little one. I'm Jenny Lake. All of you know me. My daughter's name is Olivia Lake. Her friends call her Libby. Sentence 2. Okay. Libby struggled greatly during our unusual previous school year. Like many children, she regressed academically and socially. She stopped talking to us. We signed her up for supportive peers and attended the first event where we tried to identify a natural connection between peers. Libby met several different high school girls. All were lovely and so friendly, but then Libby met Lily. Within 5 minutes of their interaction, I knew she was Libby's person. They had a natural connection. Lily visited Libby's class every day as her new friend. She talked to Libby. She read with Libby. She helped her with academic goals, played games. They attended events together that helped foster their bond. Libby has to work hard in every area all day. Lily brought her so much comfort and confidence during some hard parts of school. When Libby had a hard time completing tasks or even showing her teachers what she knows, they utilized Lily to help. They saw how beneficial this relationship was for Libby. They embraced Lily's everyday presence and saw the tremendous value she brought to their classroom community. Lily brought so much comfort for Libby. It allowed her anxiety to melt away, and she blossomed. She knew so much. Lily helped us all see that. Libby was talking again. Okay. She was conversing with us. She was motivated. Her amazing teacher provided pictures of Libby's day that helped her communicate with us. Many pictures included Lily. Libby started writing Lily's name and her name on all of the papers. She drew pictures of them together. I even found Libby and Lily's names on the walls at home. Can't even be mad about it. Then something new started to happen. Lily became a bridge for friendships. She modeled how to engage with Libby. She showed them how much she was just like them. Lily was a peer, an older peer, but a peer. Students learn from their peers. She modeled friendship. Libby started talking about friends. Not only Lily, but friends, real friends. I was seeing more pictures of Libby working with her friends, Quinn and Rosie. These friends are friends outside of school. Quinn chose to walk with Libby, Lily, and supportive peers during the Sugar Maple Festival after she spotted them in the crowd. She was with her dance studio, and she ran with two little girls in tow that didn't know Libby, and she brought them to her. Quinn and Rosie started attending buddy up tennis with Libby. They attended birthday parties together and met up at the park. One of our desires for Libby is for her to have friends. Because of supportive peers, our daughter has meaningful, reciprocal friendships. Her very young friends are slipping into Lily's role and naturally becoming supportive peers. This was a beautiful side effect of the program, and it happened in the pilot year. While supportive peers is geared towards students with disabilities, it has proven to positively impact an entire classroom community. What other program in this district has that impact? How exciting the future looks for this program in our district. In closing, Libby ended the school year with friends. She is loved, she is happy, she is talking, she is learning. Supportive peers is more than a club. This is a program that facilitates positive social emotional growth through meaningful interactions and genuine friendships. This program aligns with the mindset change we desire in this district. Our desire for our children with disabilities to be seen and included. Our desire for our 4 typical students to see students like their sister in their own classrooms. Our world is diverse, and so should their learning community. This program has exceeded all my expectations, and I am grateful that our district has a teacher like Tess Rivero to step up and graciously fill a desperate need. Without her, this program would not exist. Thank you.
I'll say that's bad.
This is Gavin. He's you're gonna be a 6th grader this year, right?
Yes, of course I am.
All right, Gavin, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm already ready.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Gavin, and I just finished the 5th grade at BCI. Next year, I will move to middle school. I'm a little bit different than most of my 5th grade friends because I have a cool brain that has autism. My autism makes me really smart sometimes, but lots of times, my brain just learns things differently. Sometimes other kids my age don't really understand that. This year was special because almost every day I got to hang out with one of my best friends, AC. AC is in a special club with me called Supportive Peers. She is in high school and we have lots of fun together. When she comes to my math class, we help each other do math problems. I am really good at math. She also hangs out with me and my friends at lunch. The other kids in my class all like AC too. Sometimes when AC is having a bad day, I am good at making her laugh. We help each other like that. We've done lots of things outside of school too. We went to a pumpkin patch and painted our faces. We went to a football game and painted our faces. We went to a pumpkin patch and went on a hayride. I went to watch AC swim at her swimming, and she came into my piano recital. We both clapped for each other. AC is the best kind of friend to have because she is always around when I need her. She came to hang out with me when I was having a really bad day. And she's teaching me how to swim better so I am ready for my Boy Scout swim test. I am glad to do support peers again next year with AC because middle school is going to be way different. AC has already been to middle school, so she knows how to do it. I hope lots more kids get to do support peers next year too. I'm sure they'll really love it. Thank you.
I know, the parent, right? The parents, let's work on that. Next, we're going to hear from another parent and her daughter. And Mrs. Deweese is, she's the mother of Danny's peer, Emma, who couldn't be here tonight. And she also has a daughter in the program. So we're going to hear from Molly and Bill.
All right, Lily's going to use her communication device and say something first. This is how she talks at school. All right, you can take it off. So you can let's hold the microphone towards them. Go ahead. What do you want to say tonight? There you go.
I love supportive peers. I love Meredith. Meredith talked to me. Meredith played games with me. She spent time with me. I really like spending time with her. Meredith was my friend. I also really love my shirt.
She really loves her shirt. What does your shirt say? Bellbrook. I didn't train her to do that, so I don't know where. You got to bow. So that's my daughter, Lily. She's 14, and she's absolutely loved every minute, as you've heard, every minute of the program with her supportive peer, Meredith. Do you want to stay?
Yep.
Okay. I would get reports from her team that oftentimes they would ask Lily to do something, and she would respond by telling them no. And then Meredith would walk in the room, and she would smile, and Meredith would ask her to do the same thing, and she'd say, okay. So that is the power of a peer. I could talk about Lily all night long, but I have another daughter who Tess mentioned, and her name is Emma. She couldn't be here tonight. She had to go to lacrosse practice in Xenia. Emma is her name, and she's 17. And as she told you, she was the supportive peer this last year for an absolutely amazing third grade boy who is over here. Danny. Danny was her peer this year. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about Emma tonight. Emma started this year struggling a little bit. Pretty early on in this district, we push our kids into gifted and accelerated programs, and Emma had been feeling the pressures of this for a while now. She was struggling with anxiety and depression, and she was also struggling with the fact that many of the people around her already knew what they wanted to do beyond high school, and simply the other students knowing what they wanted to do was giving her a lot of pressure. She didn't know what she wanted to do. A lot of our students pick the classes that they're going to do in high school based on what they want to do in college. And she didn't know. She didn't know what she wanted to do, and it was causing her a lot of anxiety. She felt lost. She felt unseen and like she was falling. And then Mrs. Rivera approached her with this plan for supportive peers. And it was like a light started to shine at the end of a very dark tunnel. Emma was placed with Danny, and her world has never been the same since. That's the power of a peer. See what I did there? I hope you all did. He has shown her purpose in this life. She now knows what she wants to do, all because she's been in that third grade classroom. She wants to go into education. She wants to teach an inclusion classroom, because she has seen firsthand how beautiful it is when our kids, all of our kids, learn together. Supportive peers is so very powerful. And I will be forever grateful
for the tenacity of Mrs. Rivero and these kids who never give up. Thank you.
I have a list of names. I exhausted my list, but I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody is anybody here for us that hasn't had a chance yet? I appreciate all of the kids that came out. I mean, there are kids here tonight that haven't served in the program yet, but they're here showing the support because they know how impactful it is. And their parents that came out, I really appreciate you guys doing that because it really does take all of us to make things like this happen. So if you don't mind, Mrs. Sigmund, go to the next slide. This is about a minute long. This little video just shows it takes us through the whole year because the kids do have a day of training just with high school kids. And then we bring in their peers. And so this kind of goes through the year of the different events and things that we've had. That's Emma. And so again, I just want to thank everybody for all taking several adult committees to make these events happen. And but really, it comes down to the high school kids going every day and just naturally interacting with all the kids. And one thing that when we were talking about getting this program going that we did not anticipate at all is what many people have talked about tonight, and that's the natural reaction of the other students in the class and the friendships that have been made and the impact that that's had on everyone has been absolutely phenomenal. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Just have a few comments and questions here for you. Was it last September you presented? I saw that everything's a blur for the last 2 years now. So at the time, I don't know if you recall or not, but I mentioned that my daughter, when she was in high school, at that time, I believe it was called peer tutor. Did we go through a period where it didn't exist and then you resurrected it with this supportive peer or?
I don't know. I'm also the National Honor Society advisor, so I know we have peer tutoring as part of that, and that's separate from this. And that's the peer tutoring just is at the high school.
Okay, and so yeah, she did that, but it's the same basic idea. You're helping someone with needs, you know. And so my daughter, she was a good student in high school, but she wasn't at the top, you know. And she really wanted to go into be a physical therapy assistant initially down at UC Claremont. And what she's just had a lifetime of just identifying with people with needs and wanting to help. And so in the end, when she applied for this program, she was like, there was like 25 people out of like 80. And her GPA was such she was not going to get in the program. And, but as a result of her interview, where they could see that she had a genuine passion for helping people, she was selected, okay? So she made it into that program, went on to her bachelor's, and then 2 weeks ago, graduated with a Master's of Public Health from Harvard. So not to at all say, look where you can go because you do this. And I guarantee you, no one does this because it's going to get them somewhere. So for you, you got scholarships for it, but that's not why you did it, right? So it just indicates where, that it's synergistic, that you do something to help people, and oh, by the way, the boomerang comes back and it's a good thing. So I am a total fan of what you're doing. And my daughter, she helped a girl, I'll leave her nameless, but it was a girl with very much special needs. And it was very touching for us and our family to see that, and I'm just so grateful that program existed. And so I just got a couple questions here for you. Do you have enough peers? Do you have enough volunteers for the number of students that you have?
So I'm glad you asked that because I forgot to mention that. This year, in our first year, we had about 24 high school, buddy peers, and we had 19 buddy peers. The reason that it wasn't one-to-one was because some of the high school peers worked at the preschool, and so at the preschool, they worked in the classroom. Okay. We, as the committee of teachers, had discussed that at the beginning, how big do we feel like this should go? What should we do? And so we pushed out the applications for the high school kids again, probably in January, February, and we got over 40 applications this year. So we're more than doubling in size, and I haven't had to turn anyone away.
Okay.
At this
and
point.
You've had a sufficient number for the students that you have. Okay, that's awesome. So how would you characterize this? Is it a program or a club?
I think that this is probably neither. I mean, this is just an organization that just affects every aspect of our district.
Because I heard both terms tonight. I heard
right.
Club, I heard program.
I guess if I had to pick between the two, I would say program.
Okay.
But it's not a club that kids join. They have to fill out an application. They have to get recommendations from teachers.
It's not like the Pokemon Club or something like that. Right?
No.
Halo Club or whatnot. So probably the most important question I can ask you is, what do you need? Because I think we all love what you do. Without me, I can read everyone's mind, read the whole room's mind here. So what can we as a board or administration do to support what you're doing? What are your needs? Because this is God's work, and I'm really grateful to you for what you do. So please you're on stage, here's your chance. What can we do to help you?
Okay. Well, the paper that I passed out to you while the video was running is kind of like it is our schedule for dates for this coming year. And this being our first year, we kind of just, I don't want to say we made it up as we went, but in terms of the outside events, the kids, we did one, we had the football game, and then everybody's like, oh, let's do another one. So we didn't go into it with the calendar that I just shared with you, but now we are going to go into it with the calendar. And so having that calendar allowed me to set out a predicted budget or expenditures for the various things. And so I have that paper here that I can share with everyone. We got, last year, we wrote 3 different grants to BSEF, and BSEF gave us over $7,000 total. And I also wrote down, we got $500 from PTO. Private donations were probably over $2,000, whether that was funds or just items. So, and it's really, one thing that's really important to me that I think is vital to respect this group is keeping it free to the families that are participating. Raising a typical child costs about $250,000, and raising a child with special needs can cost 4 times that. I know personally we spend probably $1,000 a month on Danny's various therapies. So, keeping that free to the families has been important. And then the volunteers, I want to make sure that we always treat them well. Everything is free. They get the shirts, and we had a nice little field trip at the end of the year to reward them. So in terms of what we need money. And aside from that time, but I don't think we can squeeze to more than 24 in a day. But that's what I would say at this point.
Do you have I'm just learning about this, right? So I don't know what you need, what you get or have already.
So when, what I have here is, like I said, all of our events that we have scheduled. And so the different things that we've done at the events, like people mentioned, we have face painting, cornhole games, parachutes, we do little crafts, all sorts of different things. So each event, we have to purchase items for the event. So if, like, for example, if I buy face paint and we don't use it all, I obviously save it for the next one. So when I write on here the different things that we need, it's, like materials for crafts, maybe $300, but more like in reality, it might be $200 because we have a lot left over from training. So that's what's there. The Lucas Brothers Farm, last year through the grants, we were able to pay for the lead peers as well as the buddy peers admission, and a lot of the families came as well, and they bought their own tickets for that.
Are there other schools that have programs similar to this?
So I'm going into my 9th year at Bellbrook. I was at Waynesville prior to this, and Waynesville had the name Supportive Peers. That's where we got this name. To my knowledge, they didn't do any outside of school activities, and that was a class at Waynesville. They didn't meet as a group, but it was for credit. And I was very, I was really strongly in favor of doing that here as well as a class for credit. But after we went through half of this year, I asked the kids and they were like, no, we don't want it. We want it to be service. So I thought, okay.
Can you maybe expand on that? Like, why is that?
Why did you guys not want it to be class? I mean, if I had to guess, I think, okay.
I mean, I would say we'd like it as service because, I mean, really, the college applications, like, I think I put down 250 hours for supportive peers, and that really helped me get into I applied to 8 colleges, got into all 8 of them. And I'm going to Ohio State this year, so I mean, I'd say it's really because of like college applications, the service, and then I'd say I'd rather have it as service because it makes the kid like us feel better about ourselves serving in a community. I mean, I'd say that too.
Yeah.
That good?
Yeah.
That's great. Thank
Well,
you.
and I think too, I didn't do the math on their GPAs, but I have most of these kids in class, and I think their average GPA would be probably about a 3.8 unweighted. And I think, they're definitely taking AP classes and all sorts of things like that. And I think they really didn't want to have one more class.
How many hours do you think you spend administratively on this? You could average it out weekly.
Weekly, I'd say probably 5 hours a week. When we have events, the events are more time too, obviously, because there's another day.
But there's administrative stuff behind the scenes, applying for grants,
Yes.
blah, blah.
Communicating with parents, website, Facebook, yeah.
If I can share a little bit about that, if you think about the day-to-day of what she has to do as the moderator of this at the high school, every time my son Gavin talked, he's a buddy peer. When Gavin's sick, I have to email her so she can let his buddy know not to go to the building. And like, there's people going every which way. Every time one of the elementaries has a switch in schedule, those high school kids need to know if they should show up then or if they're having testing. Like, the amount of sheer logistics that this woman has to shoulder, like, voluntarily is, I don't know how she does it. My biggest fear as a parent in the program is that this woman goes away, this program collapses. Unless another teacher has that quantity of time to step up and fill those shoes. Because no parent volunteer could take that place. You have to be embedded in the schools to be able to have access to those students.
It's very interesting you said that, because that was actually the thing, great thing that was going through my mind a few minutes ago. And literally, this is what was in my mind. You win the lottery, or you get alien abducted and you're no longer here, who's gonna run the program? And if it's a volunteer thing, well, that's what Tess used to do. And there's no, like I was saying, requirement that somebody is there to do it if it's not a formalized position. So I don't know if that's where you were.
Yeah, and that's I have two questions, but they're not for you, they're for Dr. Kozak. Now, what do we need to do to make this a stipend position? And what kind of investment, what does the board do? Can we do legally actionable to make an investment in this program? Because it's not an investment in a club or an extracurricular, it's an investment in our community and our special ed department. And I think that we would be remiss if we did not discuss that. So if you could advise on the best way to do that.
I mean, I think we need to take that into consideration, and I'll take a look at it and get back with you.
Okay, okay, and I appreciate that answer, but we need to take some action. I'm ready, like, we can take an action. If we're approving all these other people tonight, like, she already has an NHS stipend, so can it be comparable to that? I mean, what actions, I would like some actions, like, not just like, we're gonna look into it.
To be honest, I mean, there's really nothing appropriate to be able to do tonight. Any type of stipend or anything like that needs to be a decision that we think about and discuss, and also that would have to be a contractual thing with the union. So that would be an MOU with.
But she already has some like, so you're saying to establish this as a position, we have to go to the union?
Correct.
Is that accurate, Mr. Ferrer?
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
So do we need to, so Dr. Kozak was saying we need to go through you to make this
Well, not through me, but through.
well, through the union, is that correct?
Correct. It would be
Okay,
a
so
contractual
can we put a time frame on this, like the next meeting, we can have that, like the 30th?
The 30th, again,
Yes.
I would have to draw something up for an MOU, memorandum of
Okay.
understanding.
Okay.
Meet with the union has to then vote on that,
Okay,
that they would accept that.
okay,
And then then we could move, then the board would approve that.
Okay, so-
Because what you're doing is you're amending the contract.
okay,
So whether it's a stipend or whether it's something else,
okay.
it's an MOU
Okay.
with the union.
Okay, so you don't need board action, so are you willing to look at that and what that looks like and supporting financially? Just not all the way maybe, these grants can be continued, but I think we need to make some sort of investment.
I've already started moving in that direction,
You have?
exploring
Okay,
a stipend situation.
well, but also funding for the program.
Funding for the program, we can explore that. Again, I
Do you
think
need
there's
board
some-
action to do that?
No.
Okay,
And I think there's some good grants out there that can also be utilized.
right, and I appreciate those grants, that would be wonderful, but we need to make an investment in this population in our community. So, I don't know if my fellow board members feel that way, but, I know that one person can't tell you, but as a board, if everyone else is involved in that in an appropriate way to do that.
We can make it happen,
Thank you.
if that's what the board would like to do.
I'd like to hear options for sure, and I'm not sure of the time frame or whatever the appropriate is. I'd love to hear options.
Right.
Options in.
As to what we can do.
Well, again, really, it's really not a board action to be able to do that. It is more of administrative, budget item, and Mr. Lyman, I don't know if you can speak to that. It just is, what fund does that come out of? And that's an administrative kind of decision to be able to make that happen.
Two separate things we're talking about there, that still would need the MOU.
Right, and I'm asking, I guess, for two separate things. I'm asking for a stipend for Mr. Barrow as a stipend position for this. And then also some sort of district funding, district investment into this program. Whatever that looks like, if you could administratively let us know what that looks like so that we can come back and have some action on that.
Again, I don't think that would be board
Okay.
action.
Well, if you could do that, that would
Sure.
be wonderful. Because
And
I think
I
it's
guess
a very,
if you're looking for a not of agreement or a veto, I'm a not of agreement.
I think it's something that we all.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I guess if you're asking just
She's on board.
for board input,
Gotcha.
if you're looking for more of a not of agreement or a veto, I'm more a not of agreement. Because I'm not sure.
They said not of agreement.
Not a nod.
Sorry, I said not of agreement, that's why.
Nod of
He's on
agreement.
board.
Okay.
Yes,
So if
yeah,
we
just
could
because
have-
I don't know all the logistics of the particulars.
Okay. Yep.
So if we could work something out before fall, that would be maybe a more appropriate time.
Again, like I said, the stipend, I've already started looking into that, and so, but again, that's a contractual thing with the union to be able to do that.
I appreciate.
Because you're adding a stipend to the.
I
to the
understand,
contract.
but this is
Contract.
an investment in not just our district, but our community. So I think it's very, very important.
We can make it happen.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Sorry. Or does anyone else have any questions? There are a couple, but I know this is gone, but just as a parent, thank you. I'm an incredibly biased member of the board when it comes to this particular program. But I do want to highlight that this is a district-wide program. This is not a high school program. This is something that's impacting us district-wide in all 5 schools, not even just 4. And it's beautiful to watch. It really is. So when you see a high school kid and you glance at their phone and your kid is their screensaver, that's like really amazing. It's impacting a lot, so. Thank you. Shouldn't have shared the meeting when this was happening because this is not.
I appreciate, again, everybody coming out to help and to speak and to share your experience with the program. And it is way past our bedtime. Mine, not Dan's.
Right. Thanks so much. Great job.
Yeah, for anyone who was here just for that, feel free, it's not rude to leave. I know you've been here a while. We'll take a second and we'll move on. Mike, for the open qualification. Yeah, I know, you gotta hang out. All right. Okay. Yeah, another thing that we have. We have no one signed up. So, good. I'll let everyone continue to filter out so we can hear. Yep. So, Dr. Coz, I wanted to make a statement prior to open communication.
Yes, and again, I know support peers are gone, but this is some amazing work that they're all doing, and some brave kids and so forth coming up and talking, so really appreciate all of them coming out and just making a huge impact on everybody, so appreciate that.
And I'll just pile on and say thank you to an administration and district that lets creative things go. I have no idea what kind of pitch was made a year or 2 ago, but just to hear what's happened in 1 year for kind of a pilot thing, like thank you building principals, district, everybody, just for thinking outside the box and trying cool new stuff. I think that's awesome.
Just want to read a little bit about student safety. I know Mr. Price talked earlier, but just kind of a general statement and thought here. So student safety is always a top priority for Bellbrook-Sugarcreek schools. District administration meets regularly with the local police departments and fire departments to discuss our district safety plans and needs. As a result, we recently purchased new radios for all of our administrators to use as a communication tool during emergencies. The radios host a secure channel that cannot be accessed by outside parties while allowing administrators to communicate with one another readily. And these radios were purchased with state safety grant money. Another safety measure that was recently mentioned at a board meeting is application of 3M safety and security window films in all the vestibules of our buildings. So they're designed to hold broken glass in place and help prevent flying shards of glass from harming people and damaging property. Also provides precious time in helping deter unwanted individuals from entering the buildings, protecting people and belongings. We also have an app called Securely that scans emails and documents through our entire system and flags concerning statements and concerning searches and so forth and forwards that to the appropriate administrators and folks in the district. We are aware that there is $100 million in safety grant money that's going to be coming from the state. We don't have those details and requirements yet. So we actually applied for the grant that was part of the previous $5 million pool. Our grant was not accepted. Didn't provide feedback on why it wasn't accepted, but we're going to dig into that $100 million and see what we can, what the details and so forth of that. Also, due to the sensitive nature of our safety plans, we're unable to go into detail. And as you can see, topic of executive session tonight is safety. But rest assured, the district is and will continue to look for ways to keep all of our students and staff safe. So I just wanted to read that.
Thank you. And we didn't have anyone sign up for open communication period. So we will move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, yeah, so new business, we have a consent agenda, so we have 8A and B. And also there's a hand carry. The hand carry has Alexander Sawyer, who's a BCI counselor, Ann Alanik for middle school assistant cross country, and Chris Chockelman for boys assistant soccer, and then also Savannah Campbell for special needs assistant, and Stephen Bell and Lindsay Howe at the middle school special needs assistant. So those are additions added to the consent agenda of A and B. Before we get a first or second, is there anything that needs to be pulled out? Just vote on separately.
All right. Can I get a motion regarding
Move to
the
accept.
consent agenda?
Second.
Mr. Kinsey, Mr. Price. Any discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Dr. Cosette and I had talked about supplemental duty contracts. Everyone has been background checked or will be background checked before working with the kids.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we were very clear about that. I just wanted the public to know.
Yeah.
All right, last chance. Now please call the roll.
Okay, Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Mr. Price? Yes. Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yeah, it's long, isn't it? Now we're down to C, memorandum of understanding with the Greene County Career Center. So recommend approval of, I'm sorry?
After consent agenda, you want to introduce new?
Oh, I'm sorry,
faculty
yes,
members?
thank you. Just directly,
Sorry
sorry.
to interrupt.
No, thank
I'll
you.
leave.
Well, as you heard earlier tonight, some of the outstanding work that my staff is doing and some of the accomplishments. I have with me tonight two of our newest members who I can assure you are outstanding, and we're just very excited to have them. So first we'll start with Bethany Burgess. Bethany is coming to us from Xenia. She will be teaching 8th grade ELA. We are still a very desirable school district. I want to thank my selection committee, Mrs. Hill, for helping me weed through over 70 applications to come up with what I feel is just a great two additions to our team here at the middle school. So that's Bethany Burgess and Lauren Duhan, who also will be teaching English and math. So guys, welcome to the team. Bar's kind of up here. Anything you want to say?
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, we ready to go on now that yes.
I think so.
Okay, all right.
It's your report.
Thank you for reminding
told me to remind
you. Yes. So memorandum of understanding with the Career Center, recommend approval of memorandum of understanding between the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Local Board of Education and the Greene County Vocational School District for the implementation of in-district engineering program beginning July 1, 2022.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. And so this is a continuation. Last year, we had the middle school transition over to the Greene County Career Center. This is the high school transitioning over to the Career Center. About a staff member and a half is being employed by the Career Center. And actually there's only enough students for about a teacher and a half or so, but actually both those teachers are our current employees who are transitioning to the Career Center, but we are actually contracting with the Career Center for 2 periods. Mrs. Bizignani at the middle school to teach math for a couple periods, and then she's going to do the rest of the day at the high school with engineering. So we were able to work out that agreement with them that still allows us to be able to offer those things at the middle school and then also help with the staffing over there. So actually, all the teachers that have been hired for the Career Center for engineering programs we're actually Bellbrook staff members. So I think that speaks a lot about our staff members that are being hired there, and they're still serving our students just in a different capacity. And just to note also, this is a savings to the school district of at least $750,000 as those salaries and programs cost and everything else transitions over to the Career Center.
All right, comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn.
Yes. Motion passes.
High school credit recovery, recommend approval of 2022 summer credit recovery program at Bellbrook High School, May 31st to June 24th, 2022. Cost $100 for half a credit, $200 for 1 credit or more. Instructors Jeanette Pye.
Move to accept?
Second?
Thank you. Any comments? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
All right, school fees. Recommend approval of the school fees for students in preschool to 12 for the 2022-2023 school year. Yes. I'm not talking about it.
Motion?
So moved.
Ms. Anderson, Mr. Price. You're so fast. Can you keep up? Questions?
I seem to remember some fees have been removed. There was like a technology fee, or so could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Chromebook fee of $55 was removed for grades 6 to 12, and that's because a grant from the federal government that purchased all new Chromebooks for all of our students and staff members, and that was $773,000. So that was something that was going to be coming out of our budget in the next year or so, starting with, and so that's a savings, another savings to the school district and new devices for everybody. So we're passing that savings on to the parents. It's $55 less because we're getting that grant from the federal government.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
District handbooks, recommend approval of revisions to the athletic department coaches handbook and student athletic handbook for the 2022-2023 school year.
A motion?
So moved.
Second?
Questions? All right. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Summer athletic camp 2022, recommend approval of the following 2022 summer athletic camp, softball youth camp later this month.
Motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Anderson?
Second.
Mr. Price? Questions?
I just usually typically ask, is this kind of a new thing, something we've done for a while?
Something we've done for a while.
Cool.
Yeah.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn.
Yes.
Out-of-state travel, recommend approval of the following out-of-state travel, the high school marching band, the Band of America Grand National Championships in Indianapolis, Indiana, November 10th through the 12th, later this year. Estimated cost of district includes 2 sub-teachers and 2 days.
Okay. Get a motion?
So moved.
Mrs.
Second.
Anderson? Mr. Kinsey? Questions?
This is a trip we usually take.
There you go. Not asked but answered. Please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
All right, items of information to discussion. Second semester bullying report. This is something we're required to do each semester. So Stephen Bell had one incident, the PCI had 6 incidents. Middle school was 9 and high school was 4. Again, these are reported situations, so just because it's reported didn't actually mean it really happened or not. But again, anything that that is reported like that, we investigate fully, take seriously, and try to get to the bottom of it, and obviously try to make sure that it doesn't happen again, and the proper consequences are to whoever's participating in that kind of behavior.
So these are, like you said, reported, but not after investigation, perhaps didn't meet the definition of bullying, perhaps didn't happen, but perhaps did
Correct.
and did. Okay. So looking at any sort of trend data is somewhat helpful, but not necessarily, because we need to look at the data surrounding actually bullying that actually did occur versus
Right.
just reported. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
And off the top of my head, I don't have the numbers from the first semester of
Yeah,
last year.
I don't expect you to.
Okay. And then a first read for board policy of holidays. This was passed by the state legislature, so this is state law. It's essentially for 11 and 12-month employees in school districts, adding the holiday of Juneteenth. So that's the first read.
Question, one of the inputs I've received from the community was we have, a number of people of Muslim faith, in our community, and they have their holiday known as Al-Fitr, which is the day after Ramadan. And it's based on the lunar calendar, so therefore it moves, So one of the inputs that had been requested was, I got from parents in a forum, was whether we could somehow accommodate that. Now, I know we're talking 2 things here. We're talking employee benefits here, but also, obviously, we can have employees that would also want to participate in that. It's a very, very significant thing for them, as well as students. And right now, I don't know that we do that. On a case-by-case basis, I suppose we would give them excused absence. I don't know that, but I'm just.
Correct, that's what we would do.
Surmising.
It's in the handbook, I believe.
Sorry?
I believe it's in the handbook.
Yeah, for students, it would be an excused absence. For staff, it'd also be an excused absence.
Okay, all right, so there's a way to.
Definitely.
Accommodate that. Okay, good.
Yep. Okay. And then last year, job description for, actually it's a draft revision to the school community relations coordinator. It's now called the parent community engagement and communications coordinator. Essentially this has been, I think, a need of the school district for quite a while. We had a communications person years ago, and that's where this job description came from. It has been revised, trying to, for the most part, just updating it to current verbiage rather than some older verbiage, and also adding kind of the social media website piece to it. But really in this age of kind of instant communication and people wanting communication and information and or engagement from the school district to parents in the community, really there's a need within our school district for this kind of position. So
I think that's kind of like a near standard, right, with some of the other school districts throughout the area. I think there are other districts that have.
correct. Really, there's only one other school district that I'm aware of in Greene County that does not have a communications person.
Okay.
In Montgomery County or Warren County around here, near us, we're the only district without a communications person.
Okay.
And I think this is a need we've heard time and time again from the community about wanting to look at ways to improve timeliness and content and
In-house,
quantity.
and it needs to be in-house.
So,
So the red is the old one and the not marked one is the new proposed one, is that correct?
The red one is the old one with the new stuff
Okay.
in it.
And then this is like clean.
Yeah,
Track
because,
changes and a clean
Yeah.
because again, anytime it looks like there's a lot of changes in there, but sometimes, if you just copy and paste something to another place in there to kind of organize, then it red lines it out. And again, just some of the verbiage I changed and or updated. Again, when that was created, yes, there was the internet, but really not like it is now. There was really no social media at that point. Really, it was cable TV kind of shows if there's any type of video. So it was a little dated. So just updating the wording for some of those, because again, it looks like there's a lot of changes in there, but some of it's just updating the wording.
All right. Prior to moving on, does anyone else have any items they need to address? All right, the next item on our agenda is executive session for the purpose of considering the employment and compensation of a public employee per RC 121.22G1 and for the purpose of discussing details relative to security arrangements and emergency response protocols per RC 121.22G6. I need to get a motion. Yes. Can I get a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
And I just usually like to mention when I remember a couple things is that we are only allowed to talk about those very specific things and nothing else. And we are also not allowed to take any votes in executive session, just so the public knows.
Additionally, we do not tonight anticipate any action following executive session. All right, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dorn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Motion passes.
At
We are
8:41.
in executive session at 8:41.
8:41.
Thank you.